Well, guys, we're down to our last two products from EpicGear. It's going to be a little bit of a bittersweet symphony. I should see how that sounds. All right, guys, let's finish off these last products I got from EpicGear. So we have EpicGear. You know, I do that a lot, but that's okay because we have the Thunderouz, which is a full over-the-ear headset, and then we also have the Melodiouz, which are a little bit of an in-ear kind of sports headset. So when it comes to sound, there is a lot of competition out there, and when it comes to good sound, it is really hard to find a product that you can really feel safe with. And I know that when it comes to buying headsets, I don't ever want to spend a lot of money because I'm worried I'm going to be disappointed. So let's take a look at these guys. We'll do, of course, a normal closer look, and then we'll talk about our testing impressions, and then we'll move on from there and give it a conclusion and awards. So, yeah, just stick around. It's worth it. Trust me.
All right, let's take a closer look at these two headsets that EpicGear sent us, the Thunderouz and the Melodiouz. I wanted to emphasize those Z's at the end. So let's start out with the Thunderouz. So I've got the RGB cycle effect going on because I am a big fan of RGB effects. I know you can't tell if you followed my channel at all, but I really am. So this guy here, I've got set on cycle. Looks nice. You can have that nice little light show going across through the different color spectrums if you want. Now, if I want, I can sit here and I can just hold this button for a total of 5 seconds. Okay, there we go. And I can turn it off entirely. So if I hold it again, it'll go ahead and turn it back on. Now, one of the things that I noticed about this headset, though, is that it won't retain whatever setting you set last. So if you turn it off or unplug it, plug it back in, you'll lose it. Okay, now I tested this guy out and I made sure I could turn it back on. And there we go. There we go. Okay, I was a little panicked. I was just thinking, I had this figured out. But sometimes that touch sensor can be just a little bit touchy there. But yeah, I didn't mean to do that. So yeah, if you hold it then after that for 2 seconds and then let it up, you can just go through the various different colors that are solid. And then as you go through them, the purple one's the last solid color choice that you can choose. And then when you hold it again, it'll turn blue, and that's the color cycle mode. So yeah, there we go. Nice deal on that. Otherwise, we've got just a pretty solid and a pretty nice headset going on here. Really big, poofy suction cups that are pretty comfortable. We have a nice headband situation here with elasticity going on so that it can kind of help with that comfort. This guy is a nice solid metal frame. Overall, I do think these guys were pretty comfortable, all considering. But they are a little bit heavier than some that I've used, so I don't think it's gotten too bad to where I don't mind having them on for long periods. But if you're really sensitive to that, you might be aware of that. The mic here is just a straight boom that moves up and down, and you've got just a nice little metal gooseneck going on here, and then mic at the end. So yeah, not a bad little setup right there. So there's a quick little closer look. One of the things that EpicGear seems to really like is this orange and black cable. And I am not a huge fan of orange or black. And that's probably my only main complaint. But, that's just a preference thing. And it's just on the cables. They don't throw it in your face everywhere else, so it's not a big deal to me. And this guy here is a little audio boost, inline audio boost addition they have to their headset. So you can see here it says Thunderouz on the back, EpicGear. We have a volume control. We can turn the mic on and off. This little switch down here goes from music to gaming. So pretty straightforward. That's about all I can show you on that before we go into testing. Now, as far as the Melodiouz is concerned, these little guys are just, like I said, just little tiny earbud things. They're a little bit larger than some of your average earbuds, But they come with multiple fittings for the ear canal, so you can do smaller or larger ones. I actually use the smallest ones. I guess my ear canals are tiny. So, but they hold in your ear good. This little hook is very soft, and so but it does seem to hook into your ear in a way that helps you know exactly how to position these guys consistently every time. It gives you just that little bit of feelers, feeling feedback. I'm having trouble saying words that have the same feeling feedback. There we go. So they give you that little bit of feeling feedback so that you can always put these in the same position every time, and that's actually really nice. It might even help hold them in a little bit, but it's kind of hard to imagine that because they're pretty wobbly. These guys do hold in well though. I would see them working well if you were trying to run on treadmill or doing a jog or something. So I don't think that would be too much problem. Of course, why would I want to run? I just want to listen to stuff. So I've got the included mic here. Of course, this mic can just be detached or plugged back in. So these are great. This would be great for a little mobile headset if you're going to LAN parties and stuff. And then finally, on the bottom side here, we have an actual control that you can do to control music, up volume and stuff. I love the fact that we got a little bit of a volume booster here. That seems to help with things on sound wise. But you know what? We'll get into that a little bit more. Um, yeah. So volume. Of course, we can mute the mic, and then if you've got this plugged into a phone, they have some buttons to control the music. And what's really nice is on their website, you can download a manual that tells you what those buttons will do for each brand of phone, iPhone, Samsung, etc. So that I thought was extremely helpful. So there we go, closer look. Let's go ahead and talk about how these guys sounded, and then we can wrap this guy up.
Okay, guys, now that we've gotten through all of that, let's go ahead and talk about some testing impressions. So, for starters, let's talk about how these sounded because we're going to talk about the mic, and when I talk about the mic, we're going to actually record the mic. So, let's just start off with the Melodiouz here. These guys are in-ear like earbud type thing, so I don't expect them to sound great, and they sounded really good. I was actually very impressed at how well they sounded. I mean, I've been using an analog and a 7.1 surround headset for a while before I got a hold of these. I popped these in my ear and they sounded really nice. Now, they have the volume feature on right there on the cable, and I kind of wonder if that volume feature is helping boost that sound ever so slightly. Maybe not, but it sounded really good. Now, you do want to make sure you're using the right connector. Make sure you're using the 3-pin connector if you're plugging into your phone. Otherwise, use the adapter that splits it to the mic and normal 2-prong connector, because that does seem to affect your sound a little bit. I noticed it being a little flat when I was listening at one point without it, and then I put the adapter and it seemed to clean that up a little bit. I'm not sure why. I'm not that much of a sound expert, but I do seem to have very finicky sound taste. Yeah, so overall, I feel like the controller, though, is a little high because what ends up happening is it's kind of a little higher up on that one earbud. And so it's like right here where you have to reach it all the time and you can't really see it unless you're just, you have to do that little number. So I think it'd be nice if they brought that down just a little bit. Maybe if they can change that up in some of the future productions that they're doing on this. But other than that, it was great little headset. Sits in the ears really nice. Plenty of variety to make it comfortable. Great little headset. Let's talk about the Thunderouz now. This guy is probably the best headset in its class. I don't know if there's one that's better. As soon as I plugged this thing in, it kind of just blew me away at what I was hearing. And so at first I'm thinking it's a fluke. I took this thing to work. I had my friends listen to it. We plugged it into different computers. This guy is a legit awesome sounding headset. All I want to know is how'd you do this, EpicGear? This thing sounds great. Now I think it has a lot to do with that little amp. That little amp there that they have that plugs into the USB port seems to add a lot because when you unplug it, the sound definitely dips off. And it's not just volume. There is some quality there too. Here's the thing. If you have a really good audio DAC in your motherboard, you probably won't notice the quality difference as much. I tell you what, you're using like a crappy Dell system and you plug in that audio DAC, all at once the sound is so much better. And even then, if you're using a decent audio DAC and plug it in, it still boosts. This is the first time, too, in any headset that I've used that when I've plugged it into different systems, I feel like I can hear the difference in the audio quality coming from my system. Like I can hear a difference from work, even from this computer to my main system. And I was really impressed by that. I'm like, wow, I can actually hear differences. um, just excellent, excellent sound. Very full. You could hear everything. Here's the other thing that killed me about this. This is an analog headset, which is usually better for music, and sounded still almost as good in games as it did in music. I would still give 7.1 headsets that I've listened to a little bit of an edge in gaming, but not enough to really care. I was surprised at how well minor noises and things came through on this, and it was great. Just awesome headset. I just sit and listen to stuff all the time because I just love the sound on this headset more so than any other that I've tested so far. This is an excellent headset, guys. I mean, excellent. We're going to conclude it. So let me just point out one more thing. When you got the music in the game mode switch, I found that I actually just like the game mode better, period, almost all the time, except for one case. I was watching a TV show with the headset on, and I noticed that the music mode there was nice because it helped the voices stand out in the show with all the background noises and made the show sound a little more normal. So I would think for like, especially TV shows and maybe even in movies, the music setting's good for that. But actual music listening in video games, stick with the game mode. I think it sounds better. But hey, it's a preference thing too. You might find something different. Either way, this headset sounded great. Let's go ahead and try these mics out.
Okay, so this cable is just a little bit short, so I can't get too far away. But hey, here's a quick mic test on this thing so you can see what it sounds like. I've already tested this ahead of time, so that way I know I wouldn't give you a completely awful experience. And, tested some positions and stuff. I've kind of found out that if you put the mic, a little bit closer to your chin, and this one's sticking up a little bit higher, it's a little harder to move. It seems to help overall. But yeah, this guy didn't sound too bad. I like this mic. It's not too boomy. It doesn't sound too hollow. Wasn't a bad sound. I think I've heard some better ones, but this one is pretty decent. So yeah, I like the mic test on this. You're hearing it right now. Let's move on to the next one and see how that one sounds. Okay, let's move on to the mic test on this Thunderouz here. Now, I definitely do not think it sounds as good as the Melodiouz. It has a very, very spacious sound, almost like you're in a really, really empty room or maybe in the bottom of an empty swimming pool or something like that. It's kind of loud, a little boomy. I've noticed that you do not want to put this boom too close to your mouth because then it can get very, very loud. You can get a lot of clipping and stuff. Programs like Skype, it's really obvious. TeamSpeak seems to clean it up though, so it's not a big deal. The nice thing about it, though, is that even though it may not sound the best, it's still clear and people can understand you. So while I maybe wouldn't want to be my first choice if I had to do a lot of actual recording, for just doing game stuff, it shouldn't hinder you in any way. Now, I'm going to go ahead and plug this guy in. So now I've got the amp here plugged in, and that way you can kind of hear the difference. Now there might be a subtle difference, there may not be any difference. I've kind of gone back and forth on that. So, but here's the point: you can hear it now. You get to just get a good listen on what this thing sounds like when it isn't plugged in versus plugged in on the external power with the amp, and just get a good idea of how this mic actually sounds. So I think that'll pretty well cover it. Let's go ahead and move on.
All right, so let's wrap all this up. We've got a really good, really strong showing from EpicGear. There is definitely not a single product on their list that's a miss. Everything is great. So as far as the Melodiouz is concerned, these are great little in-ear buds. You can go on Amazon and you can find them for $45, and I think that's a pretty good price. Now, I think that's a good price. Here's my problem. I've only ever bought dirt cheap earbuds, and yes, I have been thoroughly disappointed every time I have. But I'm so nervous to spend more than like $20 on a pair of in-ear buds that that because if I spend more than that, I really feel like I'd be throwing money down the drain. I guess I've already thrown money down the drain, so maybe I should have. These guys for 45 bucks, I would have been happy with them. They would have sounded great. They would have helped for exercising and stuff, which, you know, back in the days when I really tried to kill myself, I don't try to do that anymore. But they sound awesome. I love the compact size, and I love the fact that you can easily take them places and have something that you can easily throw in for a LAN party or something. So these are great little headsets. This guy, the Thunderouz, is fantastic. The major problem is the fact that is not available in the US. I cannot find it anywhere. It's not stocked in Newegg anymore. Does not seem to be listed on Amazon. I really hope EpicGear gets this back. Now that being said, they haven't upgraded us, and I believe it's I won't say the names because I don't remember. They got a surround sound version that's also a 2.0, and maybe they're waiting to put something back in the US when they have that guy. And I'll be really curious what that one sounds like. But man, I tell you what, I was looking at some old reviews on other websites for this guy, and I found a price that said $80. You should buy this headset. Okay, that is an amazing price. I promise you up to probably $150. I guess can't promise. I haven't listened to every headset out there, but I'm fairly confident that up to $150 is what you have to spend to compare to what this guy is delivering. It is fantastic. So I'm going to do something I've never done. Now, first off, obviously I'm going to do Pure Overclock Editor's Choice Award for both of these guys because they're both fantastic. I don't really have any major problem. The pricing's good. The performance is great on both of them for what they're offering. But I'm going to add a very special award that is going to be unique to my video channel here. And it's going to be the Hardware Hound Must-Have Award. Basically, if I give something an award like that, I am estimating that it is such a great value or it has such a great feature that anybody should buy it, that anybody should just make that their number one choice. And here's where that sits for me. If you are in the $100 range for a headset, I feel like you should just get this guy. Now I get it. Without availability, that's not very helpful. But that is how great these guys sound. I am really impressed. In fact, so far I've only got one headset that I've listened to that sounds better. And yes, it was up in the 150 range. And by the time you're spending that much more money, I would hope that a headset does sound better. But if you're looking for something in a good budget that you will not be disappointed with, I really believe this is going to be it, guys. So there you go. Hardware Hound must have. I really recommend this one. I think EpicGear did such a great job. So there we go, guys. That's it for my EpicGear stuff. Of course, I've got way more reviews coming, so stick around. But hey, if you like this video, I hope it helps out. Like it. If you like my channel, subscribe. That'll help me out. I want to keep bringing more content. I'll catch you later.